All right, so we're here. Can I get a mic check, mic check, mic check, mic check? Okay, there we go. Mic check, one, two, three. There we go. Yeah, man. What's going on with this car? So basically, as it stands, you got your boy Deion getting dragged through the mud by the community, and Johnny come late, Johnny come to the party. What have you done for me lately? Type of people. So when it's all said and done, you want Dion to do what for HBCU? And then let's get it straight. If you want Dion to do this, what do you want the other football players that's black to do? What do you want the other celebrities to do that Dion has done more than? It's a slap in the face when we always say team black and work with each other. You know, no shade to my boy, um, well my guy who has this channel on YouTube, Brother Bakari. Great channel, actually check it out. Team Black. But when we always scream that, we gotta have that right mindset. The people who were screaming power to the people was only trying to get power to the people because it was convenient, you know, and saying the least that we have issues within our community we gotta fix. And trying to throw people up under the bus or ridicule and persecute people because you feel a type of way. It goes to that saying about Kobe. You know, I ain't see you shooting in the gym, and a lot of people are doing that. You know, you sitting here coming at Dion, talking junk about Dion, but where's your HBCU money? What school did you attend? And if you attended at HBCU, are you contributing back to that school? You know, because that's where the problem lies right there. To the point where you throw your rock, but you hide your head. Dr. Umar is the last person to be talking about Dion. Dr. Umar has got how much money from the community? Regular working folks. Some of them are celebrities, but mostly regular working people. And how many people actually took the time, got their hard earned money, paid him to do what? Keep that money in the bank, facilitate his lifestyle, and do other stuff with it. The school he wanted to start at the top. Drake, it's a cliche, but Drake said it in the song. Started from the bottom, now we here. How many of us start companies with just us or maybe one or two employees and build it into a big corporation? It can be done. Nobody starts with a big corporation unless you have the resources. If you don't have the resources, you can't start from a big corporation standing and go with that. Man, did I set this to private? But anyhow, when it comes down to it, a lot of times, man, we generally have issue with this because this is one of the things that we, have issue in our community, changing things, you know, changing laws, changing stuff for the greater good. changing to benefit and to help the community. And when it come to Dion, all Dion wanted to do was put a light on the community with the HBCUs, but also, you know, facilitate certain things in the process. Him being his career, good coach, can't take it from him. What he did for the high school level and his school in general, some good work. But at the same time, are we faulting Dion for other people and their mistakes? Are we faulting Dion because Dion just getting into this business, pushing this? How many people been in the business of pushing HBCUs but nobody listen? How many people have been in the business of scouting, recruiting, and doing other things for HBCUs but nobody listen? So Dion is the savior of all the HBCUs. Dion's supposed to garner this type of, you know, how can I put this? Almost like, man, just like I just said, the savior of the HBCUs. If Dion can't do it, nobody can. So that's what we're looking at. Because as it stands, you know, Dion stayed at the school for 3 years. Third year, had an undefeated team. He told Nick Saban of Alabama that if he get a line and give him about 5 years, he'll stand toe to toe with that man. When it come down to it, Nick, they have this little thing that they do where they pay these teams to come out and play and work through it. But at the end of the day, a lot of these teams that want to come out and play Jackson, they high ranking teams. They want the status because what comes with Dion? Lights, camera, action. Dion been doing that his whole life when he got into the league. Dion been doing that his whole life when he set, the tone. You play good, they pay good. And the cameras, the action follow them. That's why his nickname is Prime Time. But the crazy part about Dion is everybody want to push the culture on him and hold him accountable for what he said as far as swag and, you know, dealing with HBCUs. But nobody's holding the school accountable for all the stuff that they did to Dion. Messing with the ticket sales, not being on his word. The man took a large pay cut. He he probably could have went to a different school, but he chose a HBCU school. He didn't even attend a HBCU school when he went to college, but he tried to work and deal with, the HBCUs, get everything squared away to where he can, bring some light to HBCUs. Second in the nation overall pick went to his school just on the press of what he said to that young man about coming to the school, you know, doing something different. And yeah, that young man, I guarantee, is gonna follow him when he go to Colorado. He went to the school specifically for what? For Deion and what he represented. And just like I said, the light is gonna follow Deion. Any other school would have got him. Colorado even said they don't even have the money to pay Deion. But the thing overall, what they're telling, they gonna get it. They gonna get that money because why? They know wherever Deion at, the people are gonna follow. The people are gonna follow wherever Deion's at. So at the end of the day, hey, they they want that recognition just like Jackson did. Look what happened to Jackson when Deion was there. You don't think Any other school will want that type of recognition, that type of ranking, that type of record. When Deion turned this program around at Colorado, then what? It shows he has good coaching skills, and they're gonna put his feet to the fire. Deion what? Resides in Florida, I believe, because I know he did that show in Texas. So, well, I think Florida that's his hometown. But anyway, rumor was that he wanted to go to Florida and coach, but he don't got the experience, not on the college level. You know, some players make good coaches, other players don't. But when it come down to it, like I'm saying the least, you can't sit here and put Deion out here as he's supposed to be the savior for the HBCU. And like me and my friend, we were having a conversation. You can't do me dirty and expect me to understand because we all black. You can't treat me unjustly, unfairly, and tell me we'll work this out because we people. That's what they did to him. The guy stayed there 3 years knowing he can get a job better. I guarantee other colleges were looking at Deion before he went to Jackson. But the goal in mind that he was trying to, put in, to the people, talk to the people, work with the people was that keep the HBCUs at a certain level within the community. Keep the HBCUs on your mind when you're ready to go to college, especially if you're a star athlete. You know, that's what bring the money, the talent. Deion is a pretty much a superstar. So by him being a superstar quarterback, by him being a superstar coach, that's why the other swag coaches didn't, kind of relate to him because he's bringing the light and they feeling, getting in their feelings that by him coming down to the HBCU level, and you got certain coaches around in the areas that they've been doing this for years. They got some type of, tone set where people respect them. People give them this type of credit. And Deion comes along with the record he just got and just demolishes, the other coaches in 3 years. Pull a team who's only won 2 games, 1 or 2 games the last previous years, never been to a bowl, barely had a decent record, and went to an undefeated season, went to the ship twice within 3 years of him being there, changed the whole program around. That's not even counting what he did to the facilities, putting his money. What other coach, even in the NFL, give me an NFL coach, give me a high school, give me a college coach that put their money besides giving to the kids. Because I made this understanding on the number one grinder show when I was on there yesterday. Shout out to him, Underrated Darkness. When I told him one of my coaches paid for my wrestling shoes my first year because he wanted me so dedicated to the sport. And he's like, well, if you ain't got the money, I pay for them right now. But you better wrestle your heart out. That got me motivated to get out there. I said, man, this dude bought me these shoes, man. I gotta go ahead and represent for him. Let him know that you spent your money well worth it, Then turn around. You look at the fact of the matter is too, them coaches don't gotta do nothing for them kids. Dion put his money out of his pocket. There was speculation in saying that he paid his whole salary back to the school, but it was confirmed by Dion that he gave them half. They gave him 300,000. He gave him 150 back for the program. You know, they were supposed to be giving him money off the ticket sales if he get 30% of the stadium full, which he knew he could get that because why? He Dion. Like I told you, Dion been prime time ever since. He knew what a name like prime time and his showmanship and his work as being one of the best corners in the league, best punt returner in the league at the time. He solidified a type of energy that comes with him. He solidified, in general, a type of aura about itself that everybody want to be a part of, everybody want to be down. Not only did he, basically show off on the football field, he showed off in life. The way he dressed, the way he act, the way he, the cars he drove, everything. That solidified the prime time, you know. So when they come down to it, hey, saying the least, what? Dion, when he goes to Colorado, he's gonna do the same thing up there. He's gonna bring the light with him. The biggest thing with HBCU, you had one of the best to represent for you. You did them dirty. Like my friend, he kept me and we had this argument for the past 4 days talking about this. And it was more of a friendly conversation, not an argument, say the least. Friendly conversation. Me and this guy, good friends. I would actually say best friends. But then also, you know, he was on the end of, man, Deion should have just went to another HBCU. But if one school ain't got no money, then the other school, if they don't have no money, can they pay you? If this school would have been up front, Jackson would have been up front. They end up telling them later that they were taking the money and putting it towards scholarships. But just like they said with Deion, how are you gonna sit here, take the money that Deion is making for his program and delegate it to somewhere else without letting them know? He's putting money into the school. He helped another neighboring college, helped them with their practice field. You know, there's a water issue down there in Mississippi. It's always been that way. For years, I've been hearing about the sewage. It's no different than Flint. Before Flint got hit the news, Mississippi always been had word that their water system was old and outdated. Nobody's putting money into the system. Nobody's putting money into none of the schools like that to fix the issue because not only this is an issue in the college level, it's an issue for the residents that stay there. So just imagine you have the residents that stay there and have these issues. Now you got on the college level. You come from a different state. You're not used to this. You're not used to, you know, to a degree, everybody drinks bottled water, but you're not using have to drink bottled water every single time because you can't drink water from the tap. Even filtering the water, I've seen that water. That water looked at nasty. I remember back in the day, I used to go to the country and the water was white. And my grandma would always say, that's why we boil our water. And I'm like, wow, why you just can't drink from the tap like we do up in Atlanta? And they said, well, down here is a little different. They don't have the money to do so. People been living like this for years, like just living like this because, hey, it's normal. That's why when it come down to it, with most people, They get kind of this and that. Humble yourself. You got some people with no running water. You got some people that have to go to bed at a certain time because of the lights. You ain't got no power. So humble yourself. But back to the situation with Deion, everybody's trying to come at Deion about him leaving the HBCU, but nobody's not going at the school for them not fulfilling the contract for one. The guy's already took a pay cut. He's giving you he's only working for $150,000 a year. Do y'all actually think Dion is worth $150,000 a year? Hey P man, I was waiting on you last night. What happened? But do you actually think Dion is worth $150,000 a year? The link is up there. I got a little time if somebody wanted to come up and talk about this too. But like I said, do you actually think Dion is worth $150,000 a year? Everything he did for the program, you know, got them guys in line, got them room and board, got everything set up to the degree when they were having issues about showering the kids, when they weren't having issues about the kids eating pregame meals and stuff like that, and the facilities where they can relax and chill because it didn't look the part, probably didn't smell the part. You know, you walk in somewhere, you you want to feel like at home. You want to be relaxed for a game. You don't want to sit here having to, just lay on the bus and be uncomfortable. You know, you want to be somewhat comfortable. You want to sit here, relax. You want to, if you have your radio, you get your tunes together, all that stuff. Be good. That was the crazy issue with the facilities at that school. Okay. Yeah, but at the end of the day, what does Dion need to offer, HBCUs? He tried it, he did it, he promoted them. They took advantage of the situation. So he's supposed to shake it off because we people. He's supposed to not say nothing because he came to that school with the intention of doing what? He could have went to a HBCU in his state. He had to go get a house out there in Mississippi, big enough for his kids, the family, because they gonna be going back and forth. I'm quite sure his wife didn't want to stay in Mississippi, but at the same time, they got their house wherever they hometown. They're not leaving that. But by him being in Mississippi, he needed a residence there as well, whether he bought it or rented. That's more money coming out of his pocket, you know. But like I said, man, the crazy thing is, oh, Pastor, I ain't even see you pop in there. I just been going out. But yeah, the crazy thing with Jackson, they was doing dirty to the man, the ticket sales. And then now, since Dion said that, they're gonna have to investigate that, right? They're gonna have to investigate that. If you playing with the books to where the stadium they sold out 65,000 tickets, but you putting on there they only sold 20,000 tickets. So where's that other money going? That's the same thing that happened with Morehouse. Shout out to Bitter Truth. We was talking about this yesterday on Underrated Darkness channel. That's what happened to Morehouse. They were cooking the books, putting the money in their pocket. Only difference with Jackson is they were, shifting the funds over to scholarships. Like Dion said, that's the money that go to his program. Let him, you talk to him and let him tell you, okay, Well, if that's the case, let's try to put a little money over here to the scholarship so we can get more kids over here. I'm all for that. But don't sit here, do what you want, and then at the end try to throw me a pass to try to let me know what you're doing after I catch you. Because he's been upfront with you. He gave them the money. He didn't have to give them the money. He didn't. Deion literally didn't have to, stay at that school. Once he found out what was going on, and this wasn't the first year he found this out. 3 years in, now he's just not talking about it. I've already took a hundred. I already took $150,000 because I got a $300,000 paying job. I took 150,000 of my money from my check and gave it back to you so we can fix this school up. Because I'm quite sure it didn't just start with the football team. Dion put money in to help with the tennis team to get them a court out there. He don't play tennis to a degree. His sons don't play tennis. His daughter probably didn't play tennis and went to that school. But at the same time, what happened? He's giving money to the tennis team to get them a court. He's fixing up the stadium, practice field. I'm quite sure some of that money was delegated to something else in the school, the auditoriums and stuff. You want to represent the team, the band, you know. If the band got to travel, who's paying for the band? He had deals to where he had that the team could be showed on TV. Dean didn't want to do that. Nah, I don't want them on TV. For what? It brings more exposure to your school. You know, that's the biggest thing. Oh, we don't even want to talk about that. The lockers being broken into, his son car being broken into, taking the jury, taking his phone, all this stuff. And saying the least, those phones got GPS on them. So long as the phone was on and to a degree, they ping that phone at a certain area, certain point. That jury, where you gonna go unless you got some little hole in the wall that breaks down jury in Mississippi? They got to take the stones out, melt it down, sell the stones separately, and whoever they stole it and tried to sell it off, they're not gonna get as much as the stuff is worth because it's hot. Now what you could do is take it, melt it down, and make something else, and put those stones in there. But then you got to pay for the work. You got to pay for the work. Like I say, man, say the least, man. It's just a sad situation. Hey, if he did, that's funny. If he did, that's funny. I mean, the crazy part, like I said, they said he's taking about a total of 10 players with him, you know, and the only reason he's taking those 10 players, they've been under especially the number one recruit from down here in Georgia in Collins Hill. Of course he's going. Of course, that's the reason why he went to the school was for Deion. And knowing that him going to Jackson and him following Deion and his son, he's pretty much guaranteed. And then that puts his son in the running too, because he's the QB. He's guaranteed. When it comes down to it, man, Deion tried to work with the program. He took that. He could have took a job at another school. He could have took a job in his hometown. Why Jackson? What's his name? Doug Williams. He went there. He tried to help that program. I thought did he go to Gremlin? I think he went to Gremlin. But it comes down to it, man. Certain HBCUs, man. We already know that these schools are struggling. They don't do like the alumni of other schools. I've never heard once Harvard or Yale complain about funds because what they produce, what doctors, lawyers, prestigious people in their fields, and what do? They get back to their alma mater. All the people that talked about Deion, how many of those people actually went to college at an HBCU? And if they did go to HBCU colleges, how many of those people actually giving back to HBCU? How many of the people that didn't go to college are giving back to HBCU? So say the least, when it come down to it, to me it's a lot of talk, a lot of fluff, because if you really didn't like the situation with Dion, all those people that went to Jackson, you got celebrities, everything. Why nobody put up some money to make Dion stay? Of all people, I'm gonna say this once again. Dr. Umar, of all people, should keep his mouth closed about this situation. How much money has Dr. Umar got from the people? Not celebrities, hard working people. To start that school up, 800,000 ain't good enough. 400,000 ain't good enough to start that school. He need more money. You know, that's getting it off the ground. The best thing with Dr. Umar is to start a pre-K or even a kindergarten. And each year, add another grade. First year, your kindergartners will become your first graders. Your first graders will then become your second graders. And every year, as you adding on a grade, you have more people coming, and the same kids that you grooming and working with, they're growing with you. So say the least, those kids will be there. If they be there 1 or 2 years and they get the knowledge, everything's good. You don't think those parents are bringing them back? Dr. Umar, that's another story. But say the least, Dr. Umar should be the last person to talk. You know, Dr. Umar should not be the last. I mean, should be the last person to talk because even with Dr. Umar, how much money did he give Jackson to make Dion stay? See, he want to say, stay because you're black, stay for the people. Dr. Umar, he don't work off blessings. He don't work off face cards and all that. He works off the money. He know he works off the money. And if the money's not there, Dr. Umar ain't there. Speaking engagement. Most of these people who come speak to speaking engagement, depending, they get 100,000. They get 50,000. What's that guy? Ben Soro or whatever. Ben Shapiro or something. That guy, like I think he said one time he said he get about anywhere from 100 to $400,000. And one school he went to, he gave them a break. He said, "What I'm getting paid from y'all is probably less than a quarter of what I normally make." So, say the least, Dr. Umar get paid every time he open his mouth, unless he's on a promo at the Breakfast Club or something like that. He's getting speaking engagements to where he getting top dollar. Why Dr. Umar ain't donating no money? I ain't heard Dr. Umar say what he doing for the people. What Dr. Umar doing for the people? What Dr. Umar doing for Dion? He a black man. Even though he going to a school that's not a HBCU, you still gotta respect him. Why? Because he a black man, right? Ain't he a black man? Don't Dr. Umar, preach and pride on being for the black people. So why he not there for Dion? Even though his decision wasn't the best thing for him. Don't Dr. Umar always talking about lifting up the brothers, all this stuff. So what's going on with that? You know, when it comes down to it, Umar should be putting money. up there to HBCU. Every year he should have his name in the bank. You know, yeah, AP. If he did a charter school, it's still through the state, and you got to go through the state curriculum. That's the only reason he didn't want to do a charter school. You know, so when it comes down to it, that's one of the main reasons why he didn't want to do a charter school, because anytime that you do something through the state, like with Deion, and that's another thing. Me and my friend was talking about that too. So Deion, when he did his prime school, he got caught up in the scandal with the lunch situation through the state. They were stealing money out through the state, but had him sign the paperwork with the other people, far as the getting the lunch facilitated for the kids. You know that could that I guess didn't have the money or so much to pay for the lunches and stuff. And I'm like, okay, what does Dion got to do with that? He's the athletic director and the coach. And that was his thing from day one when he first jumped in there. All I want to do is coach. All I want to do is coach. And now he's in a situation to where he's caught up in this scandal. So of course, when you have a situation like that and you get caught in, what is your number one goal or number one thing to do when something like this happens again? You head for the heat. Why are you gonna put yourself in something like this and get yourself caught up? If somebody wants to steal money, let them steal money. You go on about your way, cause you don't want no parts of that. You know, even if Dion was doing something under the table sneaky, they're gonna pry into his life and to get into something else that they don't want him to. But even if he wasn't doing anything sneaky, why put myself in that situation? Why make myself be a part of something that I have no dealings in? And once I find out you doing dirt, I walk away from the table. So can you blame them? Can you honestly blame them for trying to walk away from a bad situation? You know, but see, it's always like it. It's like the tea kettle calling the pot black. When it come down to it, you do dirt, but you don't want nobody else to call out your dirt. But you do dirt, you know. To say the least, a lot of people, try to, like they say, throw your rock and hide your hand. They'll get on you for being this type of person. But then when you call them out, but see, it's different. When it comes to everybody else, when he was asking for money for the program, nobody was donating. He was going in his pocket. He can't get that money back. Now, the one thing, and I know Dion is smart, all that money he donated, he could write it off on his tax. He could write it off on his tax. That's about it. That's the only thing he can do with that money that he gave to that school is write it off on his tax. That's a loss. And when it comes down to it, say the least, there are certain, losses you willing to take. Because why? Improvement. This guy wanted to improve that school. If he didn't want to improve the school, why put the money up in the first place? Why deal with that school? Dion facilitated a career to where when his team in high school did pretty good, he could have went to another college. He could have went to college and got a decent job, but he was like, man, all these colleges looking at me. Let me go ahead and go to HBCU. I'm gonna bring the HBCU back. I'm gonna tell these young guys to start investing their time and resources in HBCU. I'm gonna have the number two pick in the nation come to my college at Jackson. And I just showed him. See, I seen a video last night where they said that Yeah, I seen a video last night though where they was talking and saying that when Deion did that, it hurt Nick. You know, Nick Saban mad at him because that hurt him. This young boy, number two in the nation, goes over to Jackson. What Jackson got to offer him? Jackson ain't got no money. We already knew back in the day them kids were getting paid up under the table. We already knew that. We already knew them kids were getting paid up under the table. And now it's to the point where they can, get them sponsorship. They already said if Travis would have came over there, Nick already had 5 million in sponsorship for him. You number two in the nation. Oh, we can get you some deals. That's like the dude from Georgia, number five. They got a what is this? Oil change company called um Take Five, a 5 minute oil change. He got a deal with them. He's number five. So they like, hey, come do this. Do this take uh take sponsorship because you number five. Take five wants to give you this money. They got a dude, what was he at? Ole Miss. I think the guy's Ole Miss. He has a hair care. He had a black owned company that does hair care products. Gave him a sponsorship for because he has a perfectly cut afro and shaped up real good. They gave him sponsorship for hair care, grease and wave caps. You talking about somebody that just do their hair on the regular, keep it up, make it look good, and now since the college players are getting money, he's able to get a sponsorship off that. Man, you talking about something good. You talking about guys who young and they get into the situation of them being able to provide for their family. Those schools, I guarantee Mississippi, Alabama got to be making what? About 50 million a year? They do they doing NFL numbers on the ticket sales. Georgia, I think one time we was talking with somebody looking at Georgia ticket sales. The nosebleed was about $300-400 and a good game. $300-400 on a good game. Jackson doing good. What you think Jackson did with their ticket sales for the past 3 years, and then now you just had this undefeated season? What you think they're gonna do with the ticket sales? It's gonna steady increase. First, you probably started off $25, $50 nosebleed seats. Now you're doing the $75 nosebleed seats. The ticket sales have tripled since Deion been there. This is the whole thing that people don't understand. Deion did his job for HBCU. Deion did his job for Jackson. Who's gonna pick up the ball and run with it? Who's gonna uphold the mantle? Are them swag coaches gonna be promoting HBCUs? I guess in they town or they state because I haven't seen anybody more or less being in the news talking about this stuff but these. This is the prime time right now for a lot of them coaches to come out and start promoting the teams and getting on line, getting on social media, and talking about this situation with Dion and talking about their school. Where he went to announce him going to Colorado and all of the people coming on there praising him. He had a couple of people that was going back and forth in the chat saying some crazy stuff, but he didn't want to fool with that, so he let it be. But hey, honestly, yeah, you could say the least that he should have stayed there. I think it would have been a good deal if you'd have stayed there too. But at the same time, if somebody doing you dirty, hey, hands all the gloves off. You know, you can't hit me in the head with a rock and say, man, it's gonna be okay. We still friends. And you did it intentionally. That's what the school was basically doing stuff intentionally to him and telling him it's gonna be okay. Who's gonna deal with that? Who's gonna stand for that? I know I wouldn't. You know, saying the least. If if you the school that's supposed to actually work with me, then work with me. What's going on, Kev?
Hey, what's going on? Good morning to you, big brother.
Morning to you.
Yeah, chiming in on what you're saying, man. I've been following the Deion story myself, and I don't get it why they mad at the dude, man. Like you said, he definitely put the HBCU schools on another level. You know, with television contracts. He also made a deal, I think, with Southwest Airlines because some of the games they couldn't get to, and got a nice discount with that. But I do think that whatever the drama is with the finances was gonna fall on him eventually with Jackson State. But my thing is with some of the people that in Jackson, Mississippi, that's fighting against him. I mean, the man had to come out of his pocket, when they had the water crisis. He had to put them in housing and stuff, and he came out of his pocket a lot of ways. But overall, I think he set a good tone. They came in there 3 years. They went to three championships and they won two. That puts Jackson State on the map, and it also puts the HBCUs on a nationwide scale. Just with his name alone. So I think that alone, brought some good light to the HBCU schools. But when it comes to the kids, I mean, it was there 3 years. Let's say about 60 kids on each team for 3 years. You probably impacted about 200 young men's lives in a positive manner in 3 years. What other person can do that or has done that? So I never got the whole knock on the whole Deion Sanders. He was most always one of the most stand up young, black guys for communities and speaking his mind that we pretty much ever heard of to a degree, and he put his time in. But on that, but one thing you won't hear, one group of people you won't hear complain is the guys that played football for him and the coaches that he helped out. Not just at Jackson State, but at Alabama and a couple of other schools when he helped them fix their field. So if the kids not complaining, they saw some value in it, young black men, then I think it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and that'd be my biggest thing. Like everybody want us to stay black, but at what cost? You know, we want to represent black people at all costs. But if another black person do you dirty, we just got to take it on the chin and keep working with them, keep doing business with them. And that was the thing. When it came down to it, Jackson did them dirty. It was already understood that hey, if the ticket sales went up this way, who's gonna pay you this? I know they was packing out their house the whole season from the first two, probably three games, they started packing it out.
Well, and you
And just
talking
like,
about last season, not including the other 2 seasons prior to that. Just when he got there, the season ticket sales started going up. Then they won the championship. The
yep,
second year they went up, and I think part of his salary was, I think it was after 30%, he was supposed to get a cut, and that was part of his salary, which is nothing unusual for coaches. A lot of coaches get way more than that, and he had a real suspect salary in the first place, but it is a HBCU school.
yep. And then they was holding back on the numbers for the salary. They
Right,
tried to
right.
act like he wasn't making his mark every game.
Right. They
And
had no records of the ticket sales. Okay, we need to know where the ticket sales at. Like he said, that's my money. And
yep,
he was also paying some of the extra coaches, which you need a nice coaching staff to get the job done, and they got it done.
yep. Because even they tried to offer him $1 million before he left, but they
Right.
said that if he get that million, he would have had to pay his own coaches out of that. So
Yeah, no, that
he
ain't
back
right.
he back down to square one again. He back
Hmm.
down to what 300,000 after he finished paying his coaches, and then they still was gonna want some money to help them with the
Hmm.
facility and help them with the school.
And the kids, most importantly, the
Yep,
kids love the locker room that he redid for them. That inspires young black men when they get into something. When you change their environment, they usually do better,
yep,
and that's what he did. They believed in it. The people that didn't play for him, I just don't get it. The man did wonders for the school.
yeah, and
HBCU
then
schools need to tighten up. That's the problem. They really need to tighten up on the administration and stuff like that. I'm in Louisiana. They had an issue with Southern University in the funding. They were literally selling degrees, the law degrees, selling them. You ain't had to go to class, just selling them. So you had things like that with the corruption in some of these places. And they cheating the kids. And I think that's the thing that really pissed Dion off. You cheating the kids at the end of the day, and then act like you give a shit about the kids. I think it was that president of that particular school that he bumped heads with over and over. And you get that with some of these academic gurus or people that's in college for academic. They always bump heads with the athletes, or the coaching staff, and the football team bringing in the money. But that's another situation. Damn sure
yeah,
more money was coming in. Like you say, the ticket sales tripled. That's finance. That's real money.
yeah. And I'm quite sure all the apparel that they were selling there, T-shirts and stuff like that, the concessions. That's the biggest thing alone when you have arenas like that. The
Hmm.
concessions. Selling the food, selling T-shirts, selling memorabilia. Because I'm quite sure, you know, you can't go on to one of these NFL sites and get a Jackson jersey. But now, since they doing so well, that might be one of the things they add to the collection.
Yeah, you probably could go
Because
to East Bay or some of those, athletic shopping stores and stuff like that for like you can probably get some jerseys.
yeah,
Mhm.
because that's the whole thing with the ticket sales. When you do marketing, you're not gonna put every college on the site to be marketed and sell their jersey because why? If nobody's gonna buy a Jackson State jersey because they have a 2-15 record, you're just not gonna make the jersey.
Right.
But
Or the number one pick out of blue chip receiver out of high school. His
yep,
jersey was selling. Yeah, to a small degree compared to major colleges, but it's selling.
yeah. And so that's when you start, hey, let's go ahead and put them in the rankings and start selling their jerseys
Right.
because these guys are, starting to make money.
Right.
You
Not
know,
to mention
they,
that you had in being in the South, every young man going in high school who live in that area who think the dream of playing for a damn Ohio State or Alabama is out of their realm, which it probably is in some degree. You can look up to the situation with Dion, right? And that gets you motivated. There are a lot of kids wanted to go to Jackson State just because of Dion, you know.
yep,
And if not, just to meet him, to even play for him. And Dion been putting in work with young men throughout his whole retirement and career. Always have.
yep,
The
yeah,
NFL will hire him to talk to the rookies about what they expectation of your money, expectation of women, and stuff like that. Things you're gonna have to watch out for. And I even heard Dion, said that the NAACP should have some programs set up for some of these young kids that's going to start making real big money in collegiate sports now that you have to pay them, which is also a good thing. But you have some people that even knock that situation, that young men are too that's too much money for young men, or too much responsibility. But we only get that as black people. If you had any other kind of entertainer, some of those kids on, some of the Olsen twins and all that, they can be billionaires by the time they're 13. But LeBron James getting 60 million at 19 to play basketball was too much. Like, how's that? He working for it. He's a man. So people go all kind of ways with that kind of stuff, in my opinion.
yeah, especially in our community because we want to point the finger because ain't no money being delegated to our pockets or our hands. So of course we're gonna hate on that situation, you know, and say the least that hey. If a man is doing good, he plays a sport, he should get paid for it. You know, even if he's an announcer or anything. You
Right.
know, look how many years it takes some of these people in their profession to get up to the money that they make. I was talking
Right.
like I was having a
Maximum.
situation with my friend. He told me the same thing. He said when he was in corporate America, no matter how many certifications he got, by him being black, he just was barely good enough. But then
Yeah, there
when
was
he went
always a
to
glass ceiling.
uh yep, and when he went to a diverse company that was more or less, hire more black people because they knew what they were doing, he shot up
Hmm.
like second to third in the company.
Right.
He's to a situation now where he's almost like the VP. He's a pretty much a manager over
Hmm.
his department, and as far as the company wise, he's like second or third in command as far as like the VP.
Right. And what's the first thing a young black male want to do when he finally gets some money, especially at those young ages? Buy his mama a house.
Yep.
The first thing they want to do is buy my mama a house or a car. That's the first thing they do, and that's just that's a beautiful thing to me. So and it also closes that wage gap. Just imagine that they're gonna be putting out hundreds of young black men that's going to get paid to play sports now. Some people don't like that, but I remember having a conversation. I like so the players, so you won't call them student athletes. The football players don't get paid, but the band and the cheerleaders and the dance team and all of them get stipend checks. That's fucking insane to me.
Yeah.
The cheerleaders get stipend checks and stuff, but the players don't get nothing because they get a scholarship. Well, band members get scholarships too. Cheerleaders get scholarships. Dance team members get scholarships. But I'm glad we got over that hump where we can pay some of these young men because they sure made a ton of money, billions off of college. Like you were saying, college
Yeah.
sports make more than the NFL. Easy because it's free labor. It was free labor
Yep.
all that time.
Yep. That's what I say. As far as the ticket sales and stuff, Alabama probably got like 50 million easy on that.
Oh yeah, shit yeah. And we didn't even get to the sales of Alabama paraphernalia. Yeah, you didn't get to that shit yet.
Yep. They get a percentage off of that. And then you got the people that selling the T-shirts and stuff in front of the school. And of course, if Alabama say, well, if you gonna sell T-shirts in front of the school,
My
you
cut.
got to get a license. Yeah, you got to get a license for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's like I say. At the end of the day, man, Deion did what's best for him because, like I said, who knows what comes down the pipeline of them, cutting into the financial departments and mishandling that money. If they end up losing that program, that's gonna take away the accreditation.
Mm-hmm.
Like I say, that's what happened to Morehouse down here in Atlanta when they were stealing that money. They
Yeah, I
lost that
remember that.
accreditation. Yep.
That
I'm
was
talking
the
about.
days they had Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, and Morris Brown right there.
Yep. All that money gone. All that money just gone. Like kids, 4 years of going to that school. Now you can't even graduate. Like, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
You don't work all these years, get to the last year, you about to get ready to graduate, lose your accreditation. I had a friend who was going there. He went there for 2 more years and took his credits and went to another school.
Right, which
Cause he
is
was
the
like,
wise thing to do.
yeah, he played ball, but he was like, I'm not gonna be able to do nothing with this. I want to graduate because mostly, as an athlete, where you stand as being your talent. So if
Right.
your talent isn't all that, you basically take that experience and get your degree. Even if you didn't, because Alonzo was saying that Tom Brady was like, if he didn't become a football player, he was gonna sell life insurance. That's one of the easiest jobs.
I can believe it. Right.
Yeah,
Look
you
at
know.
what was that? The Los Angeles Ram quarterback that won the Super Bowl. He was bagging groceries. Kurt Warner.
Yep, yep,
Right,
yep,
bagging groceries. Right. You also had Zach Thomas, the linebacker for Miami Dolphins. He didn't even think he could get drafted. They had to call him on the intercom. They had Jerry Jones had to call him and like, why you not at practice? He's like, really? He just said he just packed up his bag, threw it in the car, and ran and went. But they had regular
Yeah.
everyday jobs, man. If they didn't make it there.
Yep. What was the no, I think it was the Beer Man. I don't forgot what team he
Oh, in
played
New
for.
Orleans, the Budweiser
Yeah,
man,
New
yeah.
Orleans. Yeah, yeah,
Thompson, yeah, Thompson. I used
yeah,
to play little league with him. A little small guy too, man.
yeah. And see, that's the thing, man. You never know. I had a guy that went to our school. He went to Middle Tennessee, broke our records at Middle Tennessee, Decatur, where we was at. He got drafted to the Rams, and before he left the league, he went to Miami.
Hmm.
Kendall Newsom went to Miami, played there for a while, and as he was in Miami, he picked up fishing. So he ended up getting sponsored through Bass Pro and all these
Yeah,
different
that's real money too. We
companies.
sleep on that.
Yeah,
They make good money
yeah,
just fishing.
yeah, man.
You get
Yeah,
sponsors and everything like you was in NASCAR, man.
yeah. I seen that, man. It was crazy to me when I started talking to one guy at my job. He told me like different events. He was making so much money to the point where he was thinking about doing it full time, but he was like, a tournament 20,000 here, 3,000 there. He said
Hmm.
it's good when you're doing it on your own, but he said, well, like you say, that sponsorship is good enough for you to quit your job.
Hmm.
You know?
Damn sure all expenses paid. But I wish
Yep.
Dion the best, and he's still gonna be working with young black men. All right, still, and young men, it could be white men too, young black boys, white boys too, but his focus still the same. He set a great tone. Now, like you said, who go come up and pick up that mantle or the ball with that?
Yep.
You can't
The
leave it
the
all up
program is
on
already there.
Dion. They have a lot of big name retired NFL players and college players and stuff like that who dreamed about coaching.
Yeah.
And it's
But
more
they do.
fulfilling than anything.
Yep. But even when he said that, he said they laid off what about five coaches in that division where he's at. He the
Hmm.
only black coach that they replaced. They laid off about 10 of them. Five of them were black. Excuse me. And he was the only black coach that they replaced out of the 10 that was gone and five that was black.
Right. He the
So him
first
coming
black
into
coach
them,
to come out HBCU school to coach on the next level of collegiate football.
yep,
The first one. Not Doug Williams, and we had slipped my mind what his name was, but the old Grambling coach who coached forever at Grambling,
yeah,
he went before he passed, but he was the most famous, HBCU coach. So hopefully, but and another thing is, he Dion reached out to a lot of the big wigs, the big money makers in the sports industry to see if they wanted to help. Not many people wanted to even partake in helping. The big sports guys and stuff like that. So he did it on his own. The grass needed the field wasn't right. He got on the lawnmower and cut it down himself. Then helped the other
yep,
school, the other two other HBCU schools, because they came to him for advice on
yep. I heard
coaching,
about that.
NFL, the next level, what they need their kids to do. And see, that's why Nick Saban was so successful at LSU, because he reached down to the local high schools and made a feeder program into the LSU University. Prior to that, LSU racist ass wouldn't hire a black quarterback. They would only draft kids from out of the state. They would not draft kids from within the state. That's why Cardell Stewart, Warwick Dunn, Marshall Falk, none of them even got an offer to go to LSU. And Warwick Dunn stayed 10 minutes from LSU Stadium and was the leading running back in the state. They wouldn't give him scholarships like that until
Yeah,
they changed the program. They was about to fire Saban until Saban said, "I put who in here who I want." And then that broke the cycle with LSU program. I wasn't even an LSU fan. I was a Florida State fan because they was the only ones that would get athletes out of high school from Louisiana.
mm,
And then you had
yeah,
Colorado, where Cardell went. Colorado didn't care if you can play. We go pay you and everything else you need to come up there to Colorado. They had a history of
yeah,
that.
yeah, man. Because like I said, at the end of the day, man. And speaking of brother Bakari, I was talking about him this morning. I mean, just earlier. That's what I was saying. Brother Bakari always represent with Team Black, and like I told him, I say, look, you know, Deion did his thing. They did him wrong, but it's only like how much more he could take. You know, if he's helping the school out, he's giving the money back to the school. He's taking money out of his pocket, let alone from the pay to get back to the school. He's putting the kids in a better situation. He doing all this for 3 years, not 1 year, not 2 years. 3 years he donated more money than any coach. I've never heard no other coach have to go through what he had to go through to build the program up. And to say the least, because he didn't stay, everybody walked him down like a dog, talked bad about him, put him in a. I get that. He left. I get that. The promise was set for him to change HBCU. But
But
when
he
you
did
get
that.
done dirty,
Right.
yeah,
He
but that
did
was the
that.
thing,
Yeah, I'd
you
say
know.
he did it. Jackson State, what, won 3 games before he got
Okay, Eddie Roberts.
Yeah, Eddie Robinson was the old coach. But Jackson State won what, 3, 4 games before he got there?
Yeah.
I see Pastor in the chat. What you think, Pastor? Come on up here too.
Brother Bakar, how you doing?
How you doing, my brother?
What's up, King? What's
What's
going
going
on
on,
there?
man?
What's going on? I'm good. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you good. We can hear you.
Yeah, just fine.
Hey, let me ask a question, right? I just want to ask one question. You say they did him dirty. Can you explain to me how they did him dirty?
Well, it started off with the ticket sales, you know, because he already knew what he was getting into. Now, say the least, him giving his money back, he did that on his accord. Now, when the ticket sales came into
Okay,
play, for every 30% after the tickets sold after 30%, he got a cut off of that. So when they would go look at the books, it would be 29%, but it was a packed house, sold out. If you have a sold out stadium, how the stadium is at 30%.
All
If
right.
you
And
have a
let
packed
me
sold
brush
out
you
house,
up.
that's 100%.
okay, okay,
Right, and let me
okay.
brush you up on
Can,
HBCU schools.
can,
They
can, I,
don't sell a lot of
can I
tickets
explain?
initially.
Can I explain something
Go
right
ahead.
quick? Right, because I
Go ahead.
might be a little bit closer to the situation than most people talking. Right, I know this rumor started on YouTube by black folks chopping up a video. That's why Jackson State actually put out part of the contract, right? There was never anything stolen from Deion. That's YouTube BS. Trust me what I'm telling you, right? Uh, in the way the contract is written, he get a percentage of everything over every ticket sold over 30,000 people, right? He get 10%. He get that check in one lump sum 30 days after the last game of the season. And they also had to show where they have given him the money. Deion never said Jackson State stole from him. Deion was using an example in an interview, and black people on YouTube took that interview and chopped it up and made it seem like he said Jackson State stole from him. That never even came out of Deion's mouth. This is black social media who did that. They never stole anything from Deion Sanders. They
You-
even
Let me ask you this: Do
Jackson State.
you think they paid him all 3 years? Because he said he never received any payment for the
Okay,
increase
I'm
in
gonna show.
ticket sales.
Okay, so watch this then, right? If they owed
Now
him, if
that
they
was
didn't
his
pay him,
interview that said that. Yeah.
okay, good, good. If they didn't pay him, why is he paying Jackson State? Why does he say he still owe Jackson State $300,000 to pay his way out of his contract?
I didn't hear that one, but yeah, but
Oh, yo,
I
you didn't
take
know
your
he had.
word on
See,
it.
he had to buy. See, he had to buy. I know, because most people is going by YouTube. I'm a little bit closer to the situation because I've been affiliated with these HBCUs my whole life, right? So I'm only thing I'm saying is there's a lot of stuff that black people have said on YouTube about Jackson State that is absolutely not true. That they have
Okay,
said about some HBCUs
yeah, we
that
might
is
not
not
never know
true.
the in and outs of it. Do you think Jackson State on the up and up though, one across the board?
Yes, I think Jackson State is on the up and up across the board.
Okay.
Cause see what we're doing. Watch this. Is Colorado on the up and up across the board? Because we never questioned them. Deion took a job with a school that said they don't even have the money to pay him. So he got to go do the same thing at Colorado that he did at Jackson State. Figure out a way to raise the money.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, Colorado got some strong ass alumnus, and they probably made that
Well,
decision. Yeah, I mean,
watch
or they
this.
can make
If
that
they were so
decision, or you can make that decision for the future. Like Deion go bring the program up, ticket sales go up. Like I'm sure they did for Jackson State. He had enough confidence and realized that a winning team brings in more revenue, especially television revenue. Just the name
see,
Deion will bring money.
so I'm going to show y'all something, right? And you had a right to look this up if you want. Before Deion ever went to Jackson State, look and see who was the lead and sold more tickets in FCS. Matter of fact, look and see who sold more tickets, Jackson State or Colorado. See, Deion is getting all the credit for something that black people was already doing. And I'm not knocking Deion. Did he do any good things at Jackson State? Yes. But he can't get all the credit when they had a team that was already averaging 30 to 35,000 fans per game anyway. Did he raise it up? Yes, but he can't get all the credit because the school were already being supported. And for us to say it's okay for Colorado to take a job on an IOU, because Colorado have strong boosters. Maybe they do, but maybe they're not as strong as we think, because if they were, I don't think the athletic director would have come out and said, we don't have the money, we got to raise it. He would have just kept that between him and his strong boosters. Don't that make sense?
Yeah, but I think they'll find it. But either way, we'll see how it go with that. I think they'll be able to come out with enough. But in Colorado, it's not like it's a school that can't pack the stands either. They do have some high profile games. But we'll see. But the thing is, he knows that they know that business better than we do. Whether it's coming on the front end or the back end remains to be seen.
Yeah, then you look at the point, with Dion coming in there, like I was saying, it's more of a promotional thing. Because when Dion came there, hey, he brought the lights, camera, and the action with him. You know, he brought more sponsors. He was trying to get them on TV, the sponsorship for the flights. A lot of HBCUs, a lot of times with their games, traveling is an issue. As far as the money in these schools, they got to
Yeah, they
squeeze it
travel
every
like the
single
old
every
Negro
single way.
baseball league. Yeah, they travel like the
But
old Negro baseball league on old buses a lot of time. I put the full interview with 60 minutes of Dion in the back chat when he went through some of that stuff.
which team, which team travels like the old Negro League? And of course, no, they don't have as much money because they don't have as many donors. As many people don't donate, and as many people didn't donate. But
Right.
when we're talking about JSU, and if Alcorn, Mississippi Valley State, I support all HBCUs. I'm gonna be honest. I don't care if Deion succeed at Colorado or not. I always supported HBCUs my whole life. And when we say
Mhm.
he's helping black people, out of 37,000 students at Colorado, 646 is black. But hey, if we see that as he he say he went from giving the promise to black people how we can level the playing field to I'm gonna take the first job offered to me, and now God told me to help everybody. And in the process, what most people is leaving out, right? His
Mhm.
oldest son that played at Jackson State is not his oldest son, it's the one that's still in college. Shiloh left the University of South Carolina to come to Jackson State to play with his dad, right?
Yep. And now
Mhm.
His dad,
he's stuck.
Shiloh, got 1 year left in college. He has already transferred from FBS to FCS. Now, in
Yeah,
order
but
to
he ain't that damn
transfer,
good. I'm
uh,
fucking with you good.
so 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 in order for him to go from FCS to FBS, he would have to sit out his senior year. So their money is so good where I would even walk away from my son who came here and actually fell in love with the school and fell in love with the culture. I would leave my son, even though he got 1 year left.
You think it's I think his son may go with him, but I want to see how if he shouldn't be able to do that because I think you got to sit out a year. But he did go to if he went to Jackson State and he moved up, I don't think he got to sit out, but I'm not sure.
Well, he went to South Carolina first.
Right. If he went there first, that's
He,
different. But if he stepped down and then go back up, he might not have to sit that year out. Because it's kind of
they
like
can try to.
me and the honey badger, Tyrann Matthew dad is real close. And when he got into the little issue with the weed and everything, he wanted to go to a secondary school, a lower school. And his dad was like, nah, you ain't going there because if he went there, he could have came right back and played for LSU his senior year. His daddy said, nah, you go sit your ass in the stand. I sent you there to be an engineer, not to play football. So I knew he could have stepped down and played at a lower division school and then try to get back up. I just don't know if there was a year wait like some of
So
them do.
so I know we consider Jackson State a lower division. But watch this, right? Which
Shit,
school
they
had the
good
most Hall of
now.
Famers? Well, they were good. They've been good. But watch this. They had a few bad seasons. But watch this. Which school got the most Hall of Famers? Jackson State or Colorado?
It would probably be Jackson State.
Because look, I'm gonna tell you something, and I won't say Deion didn't do anything good at Jackson State. If I say that, I would be lying. But he kind of stepped on a little bit of what he did. But if I say he didn't do anything good, I would be lying. They don't want Deion, and we have to see the bigger picture. They want Deion out the way.
Do
Deion
you
started
think
a
they did?
movement.
Do you think the overall thing is? Do you think he used or did the kids wrong?
I think he used black people. He played on black people emotion. Yes, yes, he used those children, and he also used black people who was truly coming. Well, at JSU was already supporting, but more people got on board. Like Keyshawn Johnson said, Deion, once the movement started, he had people from LA because they don't have any HBCUs out there. He had West Coast kids interested. And according to Keyshawn, who's from LA, he said they
Mm-hmm.
are still interested if the HBCUs recruit. He gave a promise. God sent me to do this for my people. God. He played on black people. He used all black people as a stepping stone for white acceptance.
Let me ask you something real quick. How many HBCUs are owned by black people versus how many are owned by the state when we're talking about stepping in to help black people? Zero? Okay. So let's go
Wait,
to the
whoa, whoa,
fact.
whoa, whoa. You can't wait a minute. You can't ask me a question, then answer the question. If you want,
It
do you
was a
want me to answer
rhetorical
the question?
question because the fact is zero are owned by
Because what
black
you just
people.
said, that's not true. But go ahead. That is actually not true, but go ahead.
Which so these institutions that are owned by black people, because most universities and colleges are owned by states
State ran.
and jurisdictions, and the thing that Dion did was went there and brought attention to these schools. Let's not talk about the fact that, like you said, well, I guess you already said they don't want him. They trying to push him out the way. So I guess I'm kind of making a moot point because you already said that. Um, they trying to push him out the way by doing things like robbing him on ticket sales, breaking into his car, doing things like
That's
that
not
for his
no,
son.
no. I was talking about Colorado didn't want it.
No, you're saying
I'm the only reason I cut you off because you misconstrued my point. I said Colorado don't want it. And they broke in his car, they got crime. Won't people please look up the crime in Boulder, Colorado? I know we think black
Well,
people is the worst.
that happened at Jackson State when that first year was that they stole some of his shit. But that's an isolated incident. That was
And guess
something
what?
else.
And guess what? That was wrong, but he did get all of his stuff back, according to him. I'm just saying. But that was
Mhm.
wrong. I don't agree with thieves.
No, anywhere. That's what I'm saying. But then you look at things that the program itself was doing in terms of like the ticket sales, etc. So it seems like maybe they was trying to get him out the picture in the first place. I mean, he brought attention for the simple fact that he's prime time, so he's going to bring attention anywhere he goes, right? Um, but realistically, all these schools exploit black people. The program, the athletics themselves exploit black people, right? If you look at the original what is it, the NFL Combine, it's literally the stock market. If you look at the stock market, it's literally like the NFL Combine. That was the original slave trade, was them putting us up on blocks and measuring our shoulders and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is a lot of exploitation. I just think Dion, at the end of the day, realistically, he had to do what was best for him because the school was ending up screwing him. They may end up losing their accreditation if they, because now SEC is going to go ahead and investigate, where every red cent went. And it's really got nothing to do with Dion. It's the fact that it publicly got out there.
Well, actually, publicly, who made it public about not stealing anything was actually the university. I have no idea. And that's the thing. We only listen to YouTube. So since we only listen to YouTube, I don't know how to put nothing in your chat. If you want to, you can literally find where the university issued their statements, showed part of the contract, and showed everything, and even talked about the video that's being put around on social media. But I know we think black people is, oh, they screwed him. No, they didn't. No, they did not. And then, and I can even go to, in
Oh
all
no, yeah, he
honesty,
had an incentive laden contract, but think about
no,
the
he didn't.
incentives. He got $100,000 if they move conferences. He got $50,000 to reach the game that he's not allowed to play in or coach him right now. So there were. I actually read over
What
the contract. There was
what
incentives
game?
all in it.
His, his base salary is $300,000. That was his base salary.
Right.
So what game is he not allowed to coach in?
What is it? The Independence Bowl or whatever this current game is.
Oh, the cricket. So I wouldn't let him coach either. You left. You don't put on Colorado University hat. Colorado University. You haven't. You could have waited if you wanted to coach the game. I'm just saying it's okay to leave, but it's the way you do things. But black people don't have to accept disrespect from nobody. You was out during your off season, during your off week. You took, and people say they ain't even trying to. You took people during the season, during your off week, to go see Colorado with you, which is an NCAA violation. I'm not wishing no harm to Deion. I'm just saying those white people didn't want him. See, we look at everything bad about black people, but Deion is the one who was complaining. They won't even give me an interview for nothing but a position job. It was black college that when white people was dumping on him, it was black people that gave him an opportunity. Don't nobody look at that though. We just like to, well, Deion did this for the school. The relationship, there was reciprocity because white people wouldn't hire him at all. He was complaining about it. I can't even be I can't be nothing but a DB coach at a white school. He thought he was going to get Florida State. He couldn't even be an offensive coordinator at the school he graduated from. HBCU put him on a pedestal and gave him an opportunity to be a coach. Don't act like it just went one way.
And
Right,
I
but again, let's look at the cachet that they get from the fact that it's prime time. So, like you said, it does go both ways because the HBCU benefited greatly from the fact that just him being prime time draws a crowd.
Like I said, we can look. Like I said,
Yeah.
if you look up, if you look up, if you look up who led FCS, which schools was leading FCS in attendance, y'all would be surprised. I'm not saying Deion didn't do anything, but giving him all the credit, no. They were
Well,
already
it ain't
leading
giving.
FCS.
He did earn some of that shit. 2 championships. That's an earning. He kind of earned now, and I know it's HBCU, and I have more reason to be pissed with him than anybody. He beat the shit out of my Southern University Jaguars. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, I was gonna
And
say
this is
we don't talk about Grambling and places like that, and then you just brought up Southern.
Right, yeah, I'm a
Grambling.
Southern
So
man,
watch this,
man.
right?
They beat the snot out of us. We look good though. We had them pretty ass yellow uniforms, but it ain't help.
Well, watch this. Eddie Robinson wouldn't take that money when offered to him. Dave Whitney, the first HBCU
Oh, we
coach to
don't
ever
know that.
win it.
We don't know that.
Yes, we do. In the first one, the
Yeah,
first one to win a game in the NCAA tournament, Dave Whitney. They did.
yeah,
Okay, watch this. We say,
yeah. Eddie,
watch this.
Eddie owned the whole town too. Yeah,
Watch this. We can say we don't know that if you want to say that. But
yeah.
Tamika
I
Reed,
think Eddie was a
watch this.
special man. He was really committed to Graham and them, yeah, that's different.
David, see,
I can't
and it
argue with
ain't
you
just
on that.
Tamika Reed, the woman's coach at Jackson State, the basketball coach now. She just turned down over 400,000 to sign a 4-year contract, making 75 because she says she have something to do. You don't come in giving these promises. You don't come in giving me God told me to help my people. Then the first one come your way, and then the interviews it go. What he said, even while he was there after his first year when he first won, he was like, "This is why I know this is where I'm supposed to be, and I'm not going to leave." I'm not mad with Deion for leaving.
Yeah, but don't you think all
Leave.
coaches kind of give that speech, man? You know, every time they leave, we saw Notre Dame coach leave right before they. I can name a lot of coaches that just left the kids high and dry, man. But when that new
But
contract comes, they move. All
But
coaches
see,
want
this
to.
is but this is but let me show you something. The difference is white people in a completely different situation than black folk. So when you come and we trying to get the momentum back, where our players can start, our youth can start going back to HBCU. But see, it started before Deion, in all honesty. It started before college. Because if
Mhm.
you ever been through this process, I'm gonna tell you, when you was talking earlier, the one person who was just talking and say how they exploit our kids, I'm gonna tell you where the exploitation truly starts. And I'm gonna tell you, a single mother is a high school coach's dream, or a father who don't know anything about the sport. My oldest son is 31, I'm 50. He graduated, he had 20 to 25 uh D1 and FCS offers, right?
Mhm.
He had to go to JUCO route first, but we were going to Jackson State, no doubt.
That's
We
good.
were turning down Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Arkansas, all that, right? We were going to Jackson State. But the one thing I learned in that process of recruiting, and it made me think about a couple of people I know, right? The high school coaches, they don't even try to contact HBCUs for their top recruits because the high school coaches is the first ones that exploit our youth because they get paid from these big schools to send the players to go there. They are
Yeah,
the
they do.
first ones.
They do get a little stipend. Yeah, you're right about that.
I know it. Look,
And
he
the
was an
bigger schools
associate.
are the ones that's able to break them off with that. So yeah.
Yeah, my if like a few years back, maybe 5 to 10 years back, this high school coach in Memphis got caught selling players to Alabama. Remember that? He got these cars, this new house, this money. Remember that? His name is Lynn Lane. He was an associate of mine. He's older than me, but
Yeah.
he was friends with my cousin. He grew up. Him and my cousin played high school football together. They went to, but they were good friends. Friends with my brother. I know him. But that's when I saw what my son high school coach was doing with him, it made me think about Lynn Lane. Oh, these people are getting paid. It made me think about other coaches. And the only reason I mention Lynn Lane is because I just know his name more than the other ones. But these coaches, that's the first exploitation of our youth. It's not even in the college. It's the high school who tell you when they see your son good or can do this or do that, they gonna only I know this person, this person, this person, this person. So you have to start reaching out yourself to the
Yep.
college that your son truly want to go to because these high school coaches selling them. Everybody was getting paid from our youth except our youth. And I'm gonna tell you something. If that child mother is involved and Alabama can offer that child mother this new car, this new house, and $100,000, that's cool. But the high school coach shouldn't get shit. That's my take on it.
And see, that's what they were doing with LeBron. Remember LeBron how before he went to the NBA, how he went down there and got that brand new
You got a
Hummer.
Jeep. Yeah, the Hummer.
He wasn't supposed to get that. And then you look at the point, it's a dude on YouTube by the name of Zoe Williams, author, activist, and all that. Zoe's son was real good at basketball. Zoe's son went to Auburn. Soon as he went over to Auburn, he stayed there that 1 year. He called his coach. He called the coach called him and told him, "You need to talk to your son." He's like, in regard to what? He said he's getting a little unruly, this and that. And so the thing of it was, when Zoe's son first came to that school, he was always at the school. He was always had his input in his child life. He stayed in California. His son was going to Alabama, but he was over there all the time. Next thing you know, he getting traded because just like you said, brother Bakar, it's true. When it comes to them kids who have the father in their life,
They don't
they
want
they
them.
look at them as uncoachable because you can't control them like you do the kid that don't have a father. You know, even with a child that has a certain level of self awareness to itself, you can't do them like the other kids. So they know that when it comes to that, like a lot of them kids, man, they sit there and pray on them. You know, I had one of my partners the same way when we was in high school. He was so good enough. Uh, the high school mayors down here in Georgia tried to recruit him, and he was like, "Nah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and stay at my high school." And the year he didn't stay, and the year he didn't transfer to Marist, that's when somebody blew his knee out. And I told him personally, I would have went to Marist because it would have been better opportunities with you going down the line. Even though our high school that we went to was pretty good, and we was in the running to try to get a state title, but more or less the opportunities that he would have got there would have been far more advanced.
See, that's it's possible, and that's what we think. But just for me, like I'm gonna use my youngest son went to school here at Jackson. My youngest son is a sophomore at Jackson State. He don't play sports. He's academics, right? It's according to what I teach you, what you teach at home, right? My son from the fourth grade on up through the eighth grade, this one of the top private schools in the United States in Boston, Massachusetts, was offering to pay him to come go to summer school. I asked my son, do he want to go? My son said, Dad, they're going to try to make me white. I don't want to be white. I'm black. I don't want to go. I'm like, all right. So then we looked at the demographics of the school. It may have been one other black student there. And I was like, okay, I don't want you to go either, but I just wanted to see what you thought. But that's what I teach my kids. That's what I thought. They trying to make me white, Dad. I don't want to be white. They trying to tell me, you come here, you the only black person. So now anything that we do, they want to take that from you. They want to whitewash you. Don't let them whitewash you. If you can go and keep who you are and remain who you are, do that. But for the most part, they wanna whitewash you. That's my take on it. Look, I'm over here, man. I'm a truck driver, but today I'm an electrician too. I got to get in here and go to work. It was nice meeting everybody on here. I'm just a little passionate about HBCUs. And, if anybody thought I was arguing or trying to come at them in any kind of way, I want y'all to know that's not what I was doing. If y'all felt that way, because this is my first time speaking to everybody on here other than she. So I just want y'all to know that's not what I was doing. When it comes to HBCUs, I'm a little passionate than most people I meet just for certain reasons. And it's been near and dear to me. You understand? So if anybody felt I was coming at them in any kind of way, because my voice get loud when I talk about it, I don't want nobody to think that what I was doing. I just want y'all to know that. Because I'm going to be listening offline. I just want y'all to know that.
Well, hold on before you go. I went to HBCU too, and what I've noticed on the academic level, HBCUs are doing the same thing Deion did. They're integrating some of their schools and some of their disciplines with public white universities to keep their accreditation and their money going. So HBCUs are doing the same thing Deion did.
And that brother, you are absolutely correct. What they did was they put them in. What HBCU you went to, if you don't mind me asking?
North Carolina A&T.
Oh, you went to North Carolina A&T? Yeah, and they trying to dog them right now. because they was so good in track whooping everybody. They started making certain rules for them. We can talk because I pull for all the eight. I pull for all the HBCUs. Yes, they made rules. Well, they trying to pass a rule now where North Carolina A&T was getting too many players getting too many track stars out of state. They don't want too many out of state to keep going to North. Shit, I don't know how to post the article in this back chat because I'm on my own wrong. But I even got an article on that too that I want to talk about. Yeah.
You on your phone?
Yeah, but my article will be on my other one.
I was gonna say, if you click the button that says chat, you should be able to paste it. It'll be in the back chat with us.
Cause everybody like that blue track we got though. I ain't gonna lie, they like that blue track.
Oh yeah, and remember, North Carolina A&T track was beating everybody. They wasn't just beating HBCUs; they was up there damn near with LSU. But they changing the rules. There's a whole article on it. They did a whole article. They was getting too many students from out of state, and what they did was the guy who wrote the article said he did some investigation, and it really had nothing to just do because they were trying to make like it for all North Carolina schools. And he wrote the article, and he was like, the only school that is affected is North Carolina A&T, and it's affecting their track. Their men and women track was great. So when it comes, I pull for all of them. I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm from Mississippi. You know, my folks. You know, my son is at Jackson State now. My dad, my sister, and my brothers, they went to Alcorn. I was a mess up, so I didn't go to school straight out of high school. I went to school late in life when I was married with kids. I went and finished, but look, I don't know if anybody, the brother from Louisiana might know. If you ever heard of the Ayers case, okay, do y'all remember when the state of Mississippi had to pay Jackson State, Alcorn, and Mississippi State, all that, me saying Mississippi Valley State, a lot of money when they took them to court and won their case?
No, I don't recall that.
If you look up Ayers case, Ayers, Ayers case, Mississippi, the reason HBCUs are still open is because of, part of the reason is because of my father, right? Actually, my father is the one that did the lawsuit to sue the state and forced the state of Mississippi to pay them a certain amount of money. That's why they're still open. Now, when I said they didn't take none from Deion, I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna circle back around to the brother from Louisiana and the brother that went to A&T and everybody on here. They do have problems with taking money at HB, and I'm telling you, and the reason it's highlighted so much more is because we don't have as much money as the bigger schools. So if you take 10,000 from HBCU, you hurting them a little bit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you take that, so it's going to be highlighted more. So if I say it wasn't no problems, you notice I only said they ain't take none from Deion from what they have reported. That's what JSU has reported. But if I tell a lie and say it have not been any problems, if I say it haven't been any problems, I would be lying. I would be lying about that. And when the brother said something about it's been integrated with the rules and all that, what they did was they put HBCUs in a position. They told HBCUs, you can't get no more state funding or federal funding if your school is not, they trying to make all of them be at least 10% non-black. That's why other people go to HBCUs, and guess what? They go to HBCUs for free. They get scholarships to go, and in some cases, not only do they get scholarships, at one point in Alabama, they was getting scholarships to go, and the state was giving them like a $300 a month stipend just to say they would go to an HBCU.
Well, you know, I went to nursing school at an HBCU, and there was a whole lot of white girls in there. I'm gonna tell you that.
Who was that?
There's a whole lot
what
of
school
them.
you went to?
But see, the thing about it is another problem that I saw going on with HBCUs, like with Jackson State, they made it to a bowl game. They didn't go to the bowl game. Now, North Carolina, we don't do that because if North Carolina Central make it to the dance, or if A&T make it to the dance, we going. Like I remember Central took a team all the way about to the Elite Eight. Well, them point guards are tearing Duke up. I remember that year, boy. It was bad. It was wild, boy.
That was A&T that went to the Elite Eight?
Nah, that was Central. That was Central that went to the Elite Eight. It was Central that did.
Oh, that was Central. I know Howard did good. Southern went to the Sweet 16. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, man. I pull whenever I don't care. Whenever when the HBCU is playing those other schools, that's who I'm pulling for. Like
Of
Grambling
course.
just kicked Vanderbilt.
We
Grambling
natural
just kicked.
underdogs, man.
And I pull. Look, I might talk noise to the dude from North Carolina about me, man. Look, HBCU from Mississippi, but I'm gonna tell you something. That's what I'll say. But if A&T playing North Carolina, A&T playing Alabama, A&T playing Mississippi State, without a doubt, I'm pulling for A&T, and that's just a fact. I'm pulling for them all the time. I pull for Southern, Tennessee State, Howard, Hampton, Norfolk State. I'm gonna pull for all of them. I just got to. I
Volleyball,
can't
track
just.
and field, badminton. I don't care what it is.
But why can we
Yes.
only
Bowling, I
afford
don't
to
care.
compete
Yeah.
in track and basketball? We don't even compete like that in baseball. I went to a black school, but our baseball team was white.
Oh, because we don't play. That's something we don't play baseball no more, man. It's getting like that. It is getting like Jackson
Yeah,
State
but
baseball team
South
was
had
mostly
never been
Hispanic.
big on baseball. Atlanta would probably be your first big state in the South big on baseball. And then you remember before they had the Florida Marlins in Florida, they didn't really have a baseball team, professional, damn sure, in the South other than the Braves. In the entire South, I mean, excluding Texas, but all across that eastern southeast, you ain't have baseball.
Yeah, Georgia big on baseball. My
Yeah, they
aunt,
like
she
that.
put my cousin in there, man, when he was probably like 10 years old. Uh, I went to high school with a guy that got drafted to the Pittsburgh Pirates, Jeremy Hart. A bad
Wow.
situation that happened to him, but before when he got drafted, hey, he was pitching what was it? 98 in high school
Damn.
consistently. And they was like, man, as soon as he went to the minors and they told him if he did, pretty good a couple of years, they was gonna swing him straight to the majors because he had a heat. He was our quarterback for our team too. So it's like
Oh
baseball is
yeah,
real popular in Georgia.
a pitcher and a quarterback go together. They got that strong arm. They kind of tall. They go together. Pitcher, quarterback, yeah, they go together. Look, I'm gonna say this about baseball before I go. Don't care what state I in. I always say I'm the best second baseman in that state. I'm better than all the professionals. I used to love baseball. I used to love baseball, man. Baseball, black people used to play baseball a long time ago. We don't play no more.
Yeah, we remember
But
the
hey, look, man,
Negro
it was
League. Yeah, but see that,
yeah,
but we didn't start when we were small, man. When I tried to play that shit when I was a teenager, that ball coming too fast. Now I ain't had no T-ball experience, man. That shit coming like, man, y'all 90 miles an hour. I'm supposed to stand here. It just
Speaking of
hey,
the
that ball,
Pittsburgh
it hurt
Pirates,
too.
yeah.
my great great uncle on the Negro League Pittsburgh Pirates. His name was Gus Greenlee. He was a big gangster back in the day, and he used to own the Negro League Pittsburgh Pirates. They called him Big Gus. I think that's one thing though. Black folks should get back into baseball in terms of sports money because baseball got big bank.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. You just said your daddy was not your daddy, your uncle, your great great uncle. I forget who you just said, man. But
That's a
anyway, you said he was a gangster. You
hmm
know, a lot of these white folk money come from gangster too. We need to get in some of that gangster money to
yeah
support these HBCUs.
yeah man.
Look,
Listen,
Oh man,
I was reading about Jerry
that
Jones.
street money helped build the Republican Party,
Well,
man.
hold on.
oh
Hey,
yeah
Yes.
gangster
Right.
money
They could
runs.
thank Griselda Blanco for that one.
Let's keep it real. Gangster money runs the youth football in Texas, and it running in basketball too in North Carolina. Gangster money definitely run AAU.
Yeah, and don't talk about in Miami. They bet on on the park, the Little League games, man. Big money,
yeah
10,000
you,
10,000 on
you
Little
saw that
League.
too. Hey, you know something? I was
And
reading a thing
Luke
about
and
Jerry Jones.
MC Hammer and them was in on that back then in Florida, man.
I was reading a thing about Jerry Jones.
Oh,
He
that's another
started with a couple of pizza parlors, right? He got his money from the Italian mafia. I sat there and read the whole. It was a long article. I read the whole article, but that's how he got his money. That's how he
yeah,
got in the game with
yeah.
gangster money. So
Right.
so so
And
maybe
before
we
that,
need to look at
it
some of
was
that down.
prohibition and liquor. Same shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Maybe we need to look at some of that gangster money to get on. You know, we
See,
just got to
this is
be
what I always tell
smart.
people. In the late '80s, early '90s, in the '90s, we knew how to make the money. We just didn't know what to do with the money. As far as the street game is concerned, because they never flipped it over into businesses like it should have been.
Yep. I
Yeah.
wish.
Hey, look, man, peace. I got to go, man. I got to get up in here and do this, run these little whiles. Like I said, man, it was nice talking to everybody, man. I appreciate meeting all y'all. I would love to do this again. I enjoyed the conversation. My brother from New Orleans got that deep accent. Are you from the Ninth Ward? I'm just messing
I'm
with you, man.
uptown, third wall. You close.
Peace and black power,
Third
brother.
Ward. Yeah, peace and black
Let's
power to
stay
y'all
up,
too,
bro.
man. This
Stay
ain't
up.
nothing but ain't nothing but love here, man. It's good chopping it up, and even with me get passionate, did nobody take it personal. It is so good, and this is what I like to see brothers doing, sisters that they come on, us being able to talk, have a little disagreement, but still understand we on the same team, man. And I promise you, she know it ain't nothing but love. Ain't nothing but love coming from my way to all y'all, man. Peace and blessings.
Always, always. Yep.
All right. You
Yeah,
know what?
I
When we
got
talk about that gangster money, though, she'd already know where I'm going with this because I hijack and Pastor, you probably already know where I'm going too, because I hijack every panel to talk about life insurance, right? But when we're talking about that gangster money, if y'all go to Google and Google Colombian cocaine cartel life insurance, as you mentioned, with us not knowing what to do with the money, I wish dudes was kind of making that kind of money today because there's many ways that they can launder. Well, they've put safeguards in place now, but back in the 80s and 90s, they could have been laundering this money easily. There's an article, New York Times article, that shows the Colombian cocaine cartel hid $80 million in life insurance policies. They could then take that money, turn around, and start their own Colombian sports league if they decided.
Mm.
So the gangster money is definitely something that, you know, can be kind of put into it today. Not the way my great great uncle did it. That was, 1920s, 1930s. So it was a little different than today. But now you have to launder the money. But they can definitely do that.
Yeah,
definitely can because
redistribute the funds, appropriate the funds, and something else. I guess that's a better way of saying laundering.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me clean that up. Appropriate the funds
Yeah,
somewhere else.
Yeah. Another thing that I like that Dion is doing, because I find it really hard to say that he used black people when he took Mississippi Valley State. He took their coach with him. He's taking other brothers with him. He even took the cheerleading coach from JSU with him. Now you can say that he's robbing HBCUs or still helping his people. It depends on how you look at it.
I mean, it's a combination of both, right? Because these other people are obviously getting better paying jobs now. But as a whole, right? Because I see what you mean, right? Because like you say, he took these people with him, this coaching staff, to Colorado. But now, what about the effect of the people in Jackson State, right? And I'm just playing devil's advocate because realistically, I think the fact that he went there did a lot for the town itself, right? Because when people are coming selling out stadiums, they're gonna go to the local Starbucks. They're gonna go to the local, Shake Shack. They're gonna go to the local McDonald's. They're gonna go to the local diner. You know, um, if you in well, you are an Aggie, so you know they're gonna go to K&W cafeteria, right?
Mhm.
So things like that. Shout out to North Carolina too. That place has actually Winston Salem specifically has a special place in my heart because I got shot 5 times there. Ironically enough, the girl my brother was busting down was an Aggie. Um, at the time I got shot. Um, and she still got Aggie pride. I was right off Peter Creek's Parkway.
I know exactly where you was at, but the thing about it is, so when you say Winston Salem, right? Wake Forest is
Is
in
in
Winston,
Winston
but it
Salem.
separates itself as its own city. Chapel Hill separates itself from Raleigh Durham. It's
Really?
yeah. Chapel Hill is its own city.
Mm.
Wake Forest is its own city.
Yeah, that's
Um,
why they try to make it the triangle. But far as the school wise, but yeah, this is own city.
Oh wow. See, I'm not used to that because I'm here with Yale. And Yale, well, Yale is its own damn city, but Yale being its own city is the city of New Haven, Connecticut. So I don't know. I'm just so used to it's kind of like Harvard and Boston, how it's just it's integrated into the city. Like people don't even realize that we're walking through Yale campus because we've lived here our whole lives. So like we be walking through Yale campus like it's nothing, right? Where most people from other states come in there like, wow, we like, oh yeah, that's the Yale building. So that whole Wake Forest being its own city, that's weird to me.
man, they got their own police force. Like Greens, like A&T tried to do that, but there's some expensive things that it's like football is probably one of the most expensive sports for your school to get into. Football teams are so big. You can move a basketball team. You can even move a baseball team. It's hard to move a football team. So that's a lot of money. And then buying the land to start your own city, your own bus and transport system. That's a lot of money. University, look, UT pretty much on Austin. Let's talk. Look, there ain't nothing in where Texas A&M is at. There's nothing down there but Texas A&M. So like
Um,
they, look, UNT pretty much own Denton. I mean, it's crazy.
yeah, a lot of the college towns are like that though. That's why they become college. The thing of that town is the college. But I get what you're saying. It's like they become their own little ecosystem.
Yep, to the point where these students don't have to leave the campus except to go home on spring break. And some of them don't even do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nah,
man,
you absolutely right.
I'm about to get ready to wrap it up because underrated about to get ready to come on at 10:15. So basically, I knew if Dr. Bakar, I mean Brother Bakar had come up here, he's gonna say some things because the biggest thing about Brother Bakar that I always recognize and always going to his channel, he's embedded into a lot of this stuff regarding the HBCUs. The whole talk, the underlying situation that needs to be handled and deal with. And like I was saying earlier, he's one of those ones that put his money where his mouth is. He sent his son to the schools. So it's not even if it wasn't Jackson that his son went to, any other HBCU. And so saying the least, hey, hearing it from the horse's mouth is the best way to deal with it. He know the structure. He had an understanding of what's going on. Because, that was one of the things I questioned too, regarding the money wise. Why did he stay there for 3 years if they were screwing him over on the money? Because I would have left the first year. All you have is one time to mess up my pay. I give each and every job, you get a one grace period. Anything else, I'm gone. I'm gonna get my money first, but then I'm gone. So, anybody else have some closing remarks?
You know me, man. Wipe ass, work in progress every day and see success. And when people challenge you, they don't challenge you to challenge you, but they challenge you to challenge you. Accept the challenge. Salute.
And y'all just stay up. Stay up.
You got anything, Kev? But man, I'm gonna end with this. Like I always say, always we here and we gone.